West Ham are in no position to be turning our noses up at Marcus Rashford. And I say that as somebody, I do not like Marcus Rashford. All things being equal, I would not ideally like Marcus Rashford, but we're not able to turn our noses up at him now. I only say that because anytime I see us linked with him, I do always see comments say, no, thank you, move on. Well, we're desperate. The old adage, beggars can't be choosers, that applies to us right now. We are desperate. This whole pinning our hopes on maybe Evan Ferguson. Evan Ferguson is injured. I don't know what injury he's got, but he is injured. And the very last thing we need to do right now is buy an injured player. We need somebody now. Even if Brighton were willing to do business before the end of the transfer window, which apparently they're not, West Ham still need a striker now. And we are desperate, absolutely desperate, because it's sort of, it's happened incrementally, but it's really bad. When you look at it as a whole, it's bad. But, you know, I guess in many respects they say you don't notice small change, but Antonio, you know, thank goodness he's healthy and well and alive, and that's really the truth of the matter. What he's going to do in terms of football, I don't know. I don't even know if Graham Potter would have used him at the moment. Well, actually, I would. Actually, to be fair, he'd have used him now because he'd have had to. But was Michail Antonio part of the long-term vision for West Ham under Graham Potter? No, but as I mentioned earlier, I think Potter will probably looking at the West Ham job as two separate things. He'll be looking at the 6 months, and then the project maybe will start next season. Some things he can start the project on. Ollie Scholes will be a great example. Crescencio Somerville on the right-hand side. Maybe that's something to build towards. But in the main, there's a pragmatist in him. And yes, he would have used Michail Antonio. But anyway, so Antonio gets injured. Jarrod Bowen, who has been used as a striker by obviously both David Moyes and, I was going to say by David Moyes and Hulan Lopetegui, but Lee Carsley used him as a striker for England. He came on twice as a substitute for Harry Kane and played up front for England. There you go. So is it beyond the realms of possibility that Potter would use Jarrod Bowen up front? No, I think that is a possibility. We know he's shown us that he can play Mohamed Kudus and he can play Crescencio Somerville on the right-hand side. I know Kudus was sort of in an inside right attacking midfield role, but we certainly didn't see that coming. Wouldn't have thought that they would both be over that side. I doubt there's any room. That would be a miraculous system indeed if he could play Jarrod Bowen there as well. So maybe ultimately he sees Bowen as playing as a striker. I don't know. But Bowen's out, and then Füllkrug. I think we straight away we saw that Füllkrug could operate within his system. We only saw 13 minutes of it, but I thought it looked pretty damn good. And I'd seen when Murray was at Brighton, target man, well, he can make that work. But what is quite clear is Danny Ings is not going to cut it for the remainder of the season. I guess he hasn't got to. He's just got to cut it for the next month. I don't want Danny Ings to play up front for West Ham for a month until we wait for Jarrod Bowen back. We've got to get a striker. We will get a striker. The club know it. We discussed it earlier on. No point in repeating it. But what we can't do, bearing in mind if you look at our desperation, is turn down the opportunity to sign Marcus Rashford. If he doesn't want to come to us, that's fine. If we can't afford it, that's fine. But if it's a case of we can sign Marcus Rashford because he is willing to come to us, Manchester United will do the sort of deal that Gio was talking about yesterday on his video, whereby whatever they pay 200 grand, we pay 100 grand. And it can happen. So if all things being equal, if Marcus Rashford is ready to sign on a dotted line to be a loan player for West Ham from now until the end of the season, and the only reason that we wouldn't do it is because we'd rather not, forget it, we've got to sign him. And I don't like it. Truth be known, look, you never really know if you like someone until you've met them. That's the truth. I don't like the way he comes across. That's the truth of the matter. I had a few people turn around at me and say, "Oh, you're too judgmental about this glove thing." People tend to be consistent, right? People do tend to be consistent. I had heard that Marcus Rashford is a bit of a prima donna. He's got a bit of an ego. I think you've got to have some of an ego to be a footballer because you've got to think that you're the best. You've got to think that you're able to take on that defender. But I still think humility is an important thing. I think manners are really, really important. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the glove incident, the kit man came to the side of the pitch. You know, sometimes I have the little rack, like the milk bottle rack, and they've got all the energy drinks in there. He came across with the bottles. Marcus Rashford is stood by the touchline. He takes a bottle, drinks the bottle. All right. Now, I don't know about you. I put the bottle back in the rack, but it's fine. I understand. He throws it on the floor, right? But anyway, he knows the kit man, the geezer's still there, right? But he's got gloves on. So he takes a glove off. The guy's there and he goes, like that. Throws the glove down. The kit man, you can see, he sort of looks at it. The kit man, drinks man, water boy, whatever you want to call him, looks, bends down, picks up the glove. He then clocks this Rashford. He then takes off his other glove. And we can all do stuff by mistake. It doesn't mean, oh, shit, sorry, mate, hold on, look. Take that off and you can have that. Takes off the next one, throws it down. Knew what he's doing. I thought, oh, mate, you're let's call him a rascal for the sake of this video, shall we? If you and I were sat in the same room, I'd be using a different words. But there are young ears listening. Let's put it that way. I didn't like it. I don't like what happens after the COVID. I thought it was great, him doing the meals through COVID and all the rest of it. But I think he went from that. I think he went from the charitable Marcus Rashford, took his eye off the ball, became a little bit more of a social media influencer, became a little bit more Jesse Lingard, if you want. And then he was just, I did just see him on the red carpet a little bit too much. He started to remember David Bentley. He started turning into David Bentley. He started becoming more, he's less of a footballer and more of that. So, you know, it's easy to, when you know that and when you see that and when you see how he is, I can't remember which player it was, had to drag him over to clap the Manchester United away fans. And it sort of had to drag him over. Was doing that. So who was it? Might have even been Fernandes, I can't remember. I thought, yeah, okay, I don't like him. The guy's attitude stinks. So I say it despite all that. I do not like the guy very much at all. But I still think beggars can't be choosers. We're just not in any position to turn down anyone. If Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I only say this because I remember, even before he went to Man United, he got linked to West Ham and people saying, oh no, he's too old, forget it. Even if Zlatan came out of retirement now, he's doing commercials, keeps him on telly. We couldn't turn him down. We couldn't turn anyone down at the moment. But believe it or not, I heard this from a very, very good source last week that we've actually made. Actually, I say this, I've got to say it right. I think his agent, I'm talking about Arnautovic now, made contact with us to see if there was any chance of him sort of coming back. To be fair, there's a little bit more to the story, so you probably would have to say no on that one. But my point is, we're pretty desperate at the moment. We are pretty desperate. And I think sometimes you just got to... I tell you what, Harry Redknapp would have been all over that. Would have been all over Rashford, and he would have got his man management right. He would have made him feel $1 million. And is there really that much difference between the situation with Rashford and Jesse Lingard? Probably not that much. Well, they're even mates, aren't they? Possibly Lingard's even saying, well, that worked for me. Doesn't mean because it worked for Lingard under a different manager. That was during COVID, under a different time. Possibly not. But I think it's worth a punt. I really do. And, I mean, like everybody else, yes, I think, yeah, Jonathan David would be great. If you haven't seen Gio's transfer striker video from last night, go and have a look. I think he put it really succinctly. He really did. And I also don't believe it. So I'm just trying to be a little bit more realistic. I do think, I was going to say again, renting Rashford on a rental Rashford. We got more of a chance of getting him than getting Jonathan David, I think. Not because don't get me wrong, I don't think David's going to rock up at Real Madrid. I think someone sort of normal will get him. I don't know. It just sometimes when a rumour goes on for too long, it just doesn't happen. It just never happens, does it? Old Josif and Nesriitis, if you like, just never happens. Anyway, there you go. Just my thoughts. Linked with Marcus Rashford. Just not in a position. Don't like him. Would rather it didn't. Would rather we had strikers. Would rather things had turned out a whole multitude of different ways. But wishing ain't going to do it. We're not. We can't. Basically we can't be picky. We can't be choosy. We got to take what we're given at the moment. And if it comes down to, and it may well be this, no striker, an old striker, or a striker with a point to prove, and possibly even a slightly bad attitude, I think we might have to take the latter.